feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Citadel baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers.
Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon. Back to noon it is. Welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and very proudly presented by Motley Rice, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Make sure that you've downloaded the app, the JB and Goldwater app. It's free, and you can watch our program. You can listen to our program anywhere you are, whether you're in the car, at home, on vacation, wherever. You take us wherever you want to take us. It's fine. You can comment in there as well. Check out our top prospects. You can order some swag, vintage brand gear for whatever program you pull for or whatever franchise in the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball it is that you love to cheer for. Right there, you'll see it. Front page of the app. So download the app, Carolina, Clemson fans, and beyond. So much really cool stuff. Logos from like the 60s and the 70s, things you've never even seen before for your program. It's awesome on the JB and Goldwater app. The Share Healthcare chat lines, they are open. We all know what everybody wants to talk about. We're going to get there. Who's going to replace Frank Martin in South Carolina? There's been twists and turns and just craziness over the last few days, and we've got you totally covered with that. Gene Sapakoff will join us at 12:30 today. He's actually right there, and I think he's on. You said he's on the way to spring training?
Yes, he is. You know, the horrible life that Gene lives, from the Greenville Regional to spring training and the Masters. Must be rough.
Yeah, it's a tough time of the year for him. So we'll get Gene. Got a lot to get to with Gene. We do have Scott Wingo coming up at 1:05. Pretty bad weekend for Carolina up in Knoxville against the Vols. We've got all the college baseball stuff to wrap up with you there as well. Some NFL notes and some Major League Baseball notes, some big names in new places. I'll tell you about that. Obviously, March Madness was, as we expected it to be, a pretty fun over the last few days. And next weekend, I've got a feeling it's going to be pretty fun again. The SEC thus far, I think, has been pretty disappointing. The ACC, I don't know if you'd say they've overachieved or not, or they've just done what they're supposed to do because they're the ACC. So that league, as much heat as it got all year from people like me and other idiots out there, they're proving us all wrong. And the SEC is also proving us all wrong. So that is a lot to talk about. And Carolina's women, Darren, are moving on, but they can't shoot, and they're not going to win a national championship if they keep playing like that offensively. It is putrid what 11 McDonald's All-Americans are doing from an offensive standpoint. It's unbelievable from a defensive standpoint. We've never seen that before, ever, literally ever. But offensively, they are horrible for being the number one team in the country. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. And certainly we got you covered on the Frank Martin stuff. And look, there's a lot of opinions out there, Frank Martin, on the Gamecocks basketball searching stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of opinions. We know you all have opinions, and I'm going to be very respectful of what anybody has to say today, because right now you're kind of in this phase where criticism should be expected, and I probably won't be able to disagree with a lot of what's said. But I certainly have some thoughts that we're going to get to. Darren, I know you do. You've been incredibly neutral in this whole thing for a long time, and I think that's always a really great perspective to have. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and we'll continue to talk about it until the situation is resolved in Columbia. But with all that said, good afternoon. It's beautiful out there. Hey, Darren, how much money did you make this weekend?
Wrong question to lead off the show because there is no correct answer to how much money did I make this weekend.
Oh,
I'll say this, the tournament's it's about matchups, right? So did the ACC overachieve? I think because I don't think anyone really saw North Carolina becoming this consistent juggernaut that they became, or for a guy who never bashes the refs and just stays away from that lane at every possible chance. Oh my God, did they try and give that game back away to Baylor? That was one of the most surprising things from a referee standpoint I've ever seen. Aside from that, this tournament is a lot like I expected. Yes, there are upsets. Yes, there are things that we didn't necessarily see happening. But aside from St. Peter's, these are brand name teams. So it shows you what the year in college basketball has been. It shows you the strength of the Big 12. I mean, there's no question the Big 12 was the best league all year, and the SEC has been a little disappointing, right? I mean, you can almost toss LSU out. Yeah, you can toss LSU out because of the situation they had coming in. I didn't think Auburn was a team that could win the national championship. So to me, while losing to Miami is a surprise, them going out, that's not a huge shock to me. So I think it's all relative, and it's all about matchups. And in regards to the Gamecocks coaching search, I don't want to say I called it, but this is what I thought. As soon as you told me live on the air, Xavier Open, my instant reaction was, oh, bet they want Sean Miller. And even when it was, oh, they're about to say South Carolina is about to land Sean Miller, I was the one saying, hang on, guys, hang on. And it might not be about money, but Xavier Open to go get a guy that in their minds they knew they could go get. And he used South Carolina for leverage. They did all the work in the background check. And then he went to Xavier. And
what were did you? I haven't seen I've seen some numbers. Do you know what the official numbers are on that deal yet? Are they public?
I haven't even looked. I mean, I've heard all the reports that Carolina offered significantly more.
Yeah.
But that's where he wanted to go. It's a better basketball job that we've talked about that. It's true.
Yep. I think it is a better job. Yeah.
It is. It's a better job. There's more money in the SEC. That's very true. Big East doesn't have football, so A, they're not getting money, but B, it's a football less league, and all the focus is on basketball in an area of the country where they're basketball crazy. They're nuts. So it's in a good way, in a very positive way. But now the scramble it's uncomfortable to watch from afar.
Yeah. First of all, on the hoops front, shout out to St. Peter's. I mean, they're going to be everybody's darling now. So Purdue is going to have a whole country polling against them next Friday for the most part in that one. And then as far as the Thursday games go, Darren, shout out to Michigan for getting it rolling at the right time. Michigan largely was thought of nationally. They shouldn't be in there. A&M should be. And that's not how it worked out. And Michigan is now in the Sweet 16. So shout out to Juwan Howard for getting his guess. Some guys just, they know how to do it this time of the year. Juwan Howard happens to be one of those guys. He's been here before. So shout out to them. Overall, as far as I was disappointed in the SEC, I thought that it should have been better. But the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, all those leagues have been spectacular. And shout out to Houston too, by the way. They've had a bunch of issues this year with injuries and things like that. And Kelvin Sampson, they've won 31 games. They're 31-5. I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know if they're going to beat Arizona starting at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. I have no idea. I would lean towards not, but it's hard to say a team that's 31-5 shouldn't be there, but they probably shouldn't be there. So they've done a nice job. Kelvin Sampson might honestly be like the best coach in the country. I mean, he is really good, Darren, and it's got him back there. Pretty cool.
Metric wise, they pass, right? They are top 20 offense. They are top 20 defense. The question is, as we talked about last week, when they played good teams, they didn't play their best. They may have changed that completely when they knocked off Memphis to win the conference championship, because now obviously they have played a pretty good Big Ten team in Illinois and beaten them. And here they are, back into the Sweet 16. And Michigan happens every year like that, right? The one of the teams, not the, but one of the teams that everyone said, man, they didn't belong. Well, here they go. They win 2 games, and they're still there.
Still there. It is still there. Absolutely. We're also still there in the coaching search at South Carolina, Darren. There is more to talk about in March Madness, and we are going to do that today. Gene is going to have some thoughts. We got Wingo at 105. And then after that, we're going to dip back into the basketball stuff and what we're seeing on the floor this time of year, which is so special. As far as South Carolina goes, let me get to the Sheriff Gear chat lines here, Darren, and let's get some of this stuff in. Yeah, Clint, not a very stellar weekend for South Carolina. The women keep winning, but offensively they're atrocious. I mean, I hate to say, there's no other way to say that. They're just bad offensively right now. It's for you get 11 up McDonald's All-Americans, you might want to shoot better than 30%, 34 or 5% or whatever it was against Howard. That's bad. You got to get better. They're not going to win if they keep that up. Let's see here. Coming on down the line, Jamie, I guess it wasn't a money issue for Miller. BC, I can't wait for today's show. Thank you. I know people are going to be bashing Coach Tanner. Yeah, that's been going on. Adam, Lady G's still missing too many layups, amongst others. Yeah, I think they were like a combined 12 of 50 from the floor. They're starting guards this weekend. That's awful. BC, I don't think Miller was going to come to South Carolina. He just used us for leverage. Basically, that's how it turned out. Adam, I think Miller would have been USC bound if Xavier hadn't come knocking. That's true. I totally agree with that. The intel I have absolutely fits that, I think, unless he would have used it for something else. Craig, I don't know why Earl Grant isn't being mentioned more. I don't know either, but I'm not sure that Earl Grant is the guy who's going to head to BC for 1 year, then turn around and leave for another job. I know Earl a little bit. I know you've been around him. I just don't think that that's kind of in his wheelhouse, although he is a local guy. Auburn played possibly the worst game I've ever seen. They played like they couldn't wait to get home. The Globetrotters play the Washington Generals with more motivation. That's from Clint. Yep, I hear you. All right, so a lot of this stuff, Leighton, I never thought we'd be looking at BJ as a legitimate candidate a few days ago, but here I am trying to convince myself how it would work. Darren, this from Adam, you may say the current search is uncomfortable, but I'm glad it's where it is. I'm honestly good with McMahon, Paris, or Mackey. I'm also very glad Miller's not in Columbia. Leighton said, I think McMahon is LSU bound. I've got an update for you on that. Leighton also says, I like Paris more than most. All right, so let's stop there. First, I want to reference David Cloninger, who's one of the excellent reporters in this state. We've had him on multiple times, and we have just so many scheduling conflicts to try to get him on more, like today, for instance, because the Gamecock football program has players at the podium. One thing I'm going to tell you about DC, if DC reports it, it's true. All right, he does some checking now. I mean, there's some things where I'm like, it's true. I know it's true. Yeah, you can say it. No, he's going to cross every dang thing. And as reported this morning by David Cloninger, it's public, so we will say it here. South Carolina officials are in Kentucky meeting with Matt McMahon today. That is being reported by David Cloninger with the Post and Courier. So I'm not sure, and I haven't been sure at all. Even with the LSU talk, that this door was completely shut. Darren and I were texting about this morning, and Darren I agree with Darren. If LSU wants Matt McMahon, they can probably get him. The question I have, Scott Woodward figures it out. The question I have is, if there's like when you look at the LSU job, there's nothing to not like about it for the most part. It is a good job. Will Wade has, even though he cheated, has left a good program. It's a winning program, regardless how the players got there. They're there. It does have tradition. But if you're Matt McMahon, you don't really know what you're going to be walking into in the long run when it comes to NCAA sanctions. So for a guy who's looking to take the next step, he might be a little iffy on, I like the job better than South Carolina and maybe some others out there, but I really don't want to be hamstrung for 2 or 3 years and not be able to do it the way that I need to do it because of whatever falls on top of LSU. So I have thought, Darren, for the last few days, we haven't heard much on Matt McMahon to South Carolina, but I never took that as a bad thing. I didn't know how to take it necessarily, whether it was good but I didn't take it bad, if that makes sense. The BJ Mackey situation, I do want to turn a lot of this over to you because I really appreciate your commentary and your viewpoint as a neutral observer. I'm trying to be incredibly neutral, and I think I have been.
Oh, yeah.
The BJ Mackey situation, I never thought that it wasn't possible. I definitely thought from the starting point, just because of intel based on the intel I had pertaining to other candidates and what my understanding was, at least, that Coach Tanner was looking for, was that it just might not be ready for BJ Mackey. It might not be time. The timing might not be right for BJ Mackey. I'm not discounting BJ Mackey as a coach or a recruiter. I like BJ, and he knows this state inside and out. And for all those that have said for years, well, we can't recruit in South Carolina. Well, let me tell you something. If you hire BJ Mackey and he can't recruit in South Carolina, it ain't a coaching problem. It's an institution problem. If BJ can't get him, nobody's going to get him. Like, period, the end. So, if South Carolina hires BJ Mackey, there is a selling point there to the fan base, and they will sell it. If you're asking my opinion, if anybody asks my opinion, and I see Luke, who do y'all think South Carolina should hire? I say if you can get Matt McMahon, you probably get him. That's who I would say of the availables. You get him. If you can't, I would say you probably need to hire BJ Mackey. This is an uneducated opinion. I'm not in the room with Coach Tanner or any of the guys that are making the decisions. I don't know what boosters are throwing money around and what aren't. I don't know any of that. I'm looking at it from the outside in based on little intel. But based on that, that would be the route I would take if somebody asked me my opinion, which nobody has, so it doesn't matter.
I agree with you there, right? So, I agree with basically everything you just said right there. I think if LSU really does want McMahon, that they can make that thing happen, sanctions or not. Woodward has proven, their AD, as you mentioned a second ago, he's proven that is what he does, and he's done it his entire career, even before LSU. So if that's who they really want, my guess is they can get that done. I see the rumblings down here that McMahon is interested in South Carolina. I personally had not seen that, but he's meeting with them, so there is some level of interest there. So that's a fine thing. I think all three possibilities are on the table for Matt McMahon here. I think he could very well stay. I think he could very well look at both jobs and say, you know what? I want to wait for a better opportunity, one that is a more basketball-focused school than South Carolina, and one that I'm not walking into an unknown. I think that's very possible right here and right now as we stand for Matt McMahon. As it comes to Mackey, what I did today was, you know what? Who's Micah Shrewsbury? Because I think a lot of people listening to this show have no idea that that's the name of the Penn State men's basketball coach. He was a head coach only once before he was hired by Penn State, and it was at a D3, maybe, could have even been an NAIA way back in his coaching career. He has a longer history. He's an older guy. He's been in the game a lot longer than BJ Mackey. But Penn State and South Carolina basketball are very, very similar. They're both in strong athletic conferences, strong basketball conferences. They're both at schools whose fans care significantly more about football than basketball, and that hamstrings both schools. They both have arenas that are too big for them. They both have fan support that when they're shown on TV, the criticism is rightful and deserved. And I love what Shrewsbury has done at Penn State this year. It's a different route, but they weren't going to go and bring in a big-time name. So BJ Mackey, and Shrewsbury doesn't have the Penn State ties that Mackey does. So you bring in a guy in Mackey who will get fans energized, who can recruit. I love that he's been with Steve Forbes for a couple of years because the way they're going about this is the way it has to be done in this day and age, and particularly at South Carolina. There's a lot I really like about BJ Mackey if it's not Matt McMahon.
Yeah, I agree. And that is no disrespect to anybody else. There's been a lot of shifts in the information that we have received, and we have to, I think that somebody that has covered this incredibly well is John Whittle with the Big Spur. He's really been all over it. And he's done some very good reporting based on doing doing a deep dive on the
Mm-hmm.
information that's out there, talking to the right people. The Bob Ritchie situation is interesting in the fact that he's removed his name from consideration. I think that should be probably looked at one way or another. Either he knew he wasn't going to get the job and he wanted to make sure that he pulled his name out before he just didn't get it, so that's not on the resume, or he's upset about something. I'm not sure why else. I don't care how it's worded, Darren. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Bob Ritchie. This is nothing personal. I think he's done an outstanding job. I keep seeing people say something that isn't true, unfortunately, which is that Furman's the most difficult job in the SoCon. Yeah, that's not true. The Citadel is the most difficult job in the country.
Yes.
They're also in the SoCon. By virtue of that, it's probably going to be the Citadel.
But it's next. It might be next.
Yeah. But it's next. So I think he's done an outstanding job. And if somehow they reverse course and hired Bob Ritchie, I think South Carolina would land a very good basketball coach who covets the position. So, you can look at that in a multitude of ways as to why that happened. The Sean Miller situation, this is going to be debated for a long time as to actually what happened. And I'm not sure that we're ever going to have all of the information. I'm led to believe, based on the information that I have, Darren, coinciding with the information that's public, that South Carolina, and this is why I talked about it the way I did on Friday. I never said anything was done, but there was a lot of reason to believe that he was going to be a Gamecock, and Carolina felt that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was movement. And, so this is me talking, this is not something that I would ever say is factual from the university. This is just trying to piece things together left and right. And I texted you this morning. My understanding is that basically came down to about a 24-hour time period where Carolina more than likely started to kind of feel the flexibility. And this might not happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then what do? Do you continue to press forward? And all right, well, what type of offer do you have? What is it that, all right, let us match that. Do you continue to negotiate and try to just hammer it home? Or do you go ahead and prepare yourself for option B? So if there's something to be debated there, it could be debated how they handled that period of uncertainty that maybe they weren't expecting. Now, it's your job as an AD to always expect the unexpected, and I understand that. So criticism of Coach Tanner and his team, it's going to be warranted. That's okay. I understand that. We're not going to hurl personal insults at Coach Tanner, but I understand that. That's okay. So, as time goes on and information becomes more prevalent and more public, we'll be able to have this conversation, Darren, a little bit more full circle as to what actually happened and why things did and did not take place in this coaching search and how it kind of played out for South Carolina. Now, with all that being said, there are so many. Is Frank Barton available? I don't know. He might not be. There are so many opinions being thrown around, Darren. Then why even? And I'm not saying anybody's wrong in asking the questions, but why even fire Frank Martin if you're going to hire a guy who's never been a head coach? It took months and months and months of research on Sean Miller, and then all of a sudden, within 48 hours, you lose him. What happened? Ray Tanner needs to be fired because of this. Ray Tanner needs to be fired because of that. I am not supporting Lamont Paris. I'm not going to support BJ Mackey. I'm not going to support. Well, I hear you, and I respect that. It's an emotional outburst of feeling. I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. You care, I think, right? When people are saying those things, you care. You want it to be right. I understand it. I don't know that I can question anything until we get 2 or 3 years down the road and see how this thing's worked out. I mean, if they hire BJ Mackey and they win 25 combined games over the next 3 years, we're going to look back and go, it's kind of stupid to fire Frank Martin. But if they hire BJ Mackey and they win 100 games over the next 4 years, it's a brilliant move. I mean, we're never going to really know until we have enough data to be able to go back and look at what happened in this whole ordeal. So jumping to conclusions, that's not something I'm going to personally do, but I understand the conversation that's being had out there. And South Carolina right now is doing a lot of work to try to get this sucker. They need to get it resolved quick. I do know that.
Yeah. And it's true regardless of whether you landed Sean Miller or not, right? I mean, on the
Right.
surface, hey, home run hire, but 2-3 years down the road, where are we? Are we
falling
sanctioned?
stinks.
Right. Are we 5 in a billion? Are we sanctioned, or are we a Final Four team? I
Right.
don't know, right? You don't know how any of it will work out in a coaching search at all. What's the things that I don't like about the search? Number one, there's a pattern. Fair or unfair, there is a pattern and a perception and a real thing of going after a big name, thinking you got him, and missing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, there's Kirby Smart that's in that list. There's now Sean Miller that's in that list. So for whatever reason, that pattern exists. Hoop Dirt reports that they missed out on Dennis Gates as well, who then ended up in the other Columbia, and he is, at last I saw, getting off a plane in Columbia, Missouri.
Right.
That's Cleveland State's head coach. Bob Ritchie pulling out. That I'm trying to find out more information on. I think I will be able to find more information. I don't know before the end of the show or not. That surprises me a lot because it was well known and true that he would take that job. And I have some other information on the other side of things that leads me to believe he wouldn't be upset leaving Furman if the right opportunity is there. That's an obvious thing, right? Because he's at Furman, a very tough job. If he has the ability to leave and go to a better job with more money and more facilities and more chances of success, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense that it would be South Carolina. So what happened? Like, are his feelings hurt because it's not the process that he expected? Because he knows he wasn't choice 1 or 2. I don't know if he was 3 or not, but I want to know more about that because I think that will tell us a little bit more about the search when you add all of it together and then find out why Ritchie pulled out. And it's possible, like you said, very possible that he was told he wasn't getting the job. I mean, most times when a guy pulls out of a search, that's what happened. And then he just goes public and say, I'm out. But I want to find out more about Bob Ritchie, and that will tell me more about the process.
That's fair. I think it's totally fair. Absolutely. You know, and Bob, if he feels comfortable with where I mean, if it was an urgent situation where he's like, I got to get out of here, then you just need to wait it out. Let's see what happens. Right. But, you know, to your point, you have information that I don't have, but he also might feel comfortable with where his program is going to be next year and knowing that they're not going to go backwards and he is going to have another opportunity. It might have been just a power play to get South Carolina to say, hey, look, I'm pulling out if you're not going to move this thing along. You know, let's get them moving. I'm out. Let's see how hard they come after me now. You don't ever know. I don't know. I don't know Bob Ritchie. I've never talked to him about this. So I have no idea, but I think it's a good point. And, you know, everything now is kind of playing out publicly. Darren, you and I are lucky enough to know enough people to where we receive information. And so we're one of the people in the state that can relay that information. There's a lot of times where these same things happen in coaching searches. Nobody ever gets the information. You don't even ever know these things happen behind the scenes. Nothing. But a lot of it kind of plays out this way. The Miller situation, my understanding with this, is that his agent played all those cards, and that's what you hire an agent for. I've said for a long time. I see Keith has chimed in here. Hey, Keith, he says that Ritchie took his name out because he wasn't getting the job, and like we just said, yeah, that was part of my speculation. I don't want to get sued for slander or defamation or something. So I'm not going to say that's why, but that was kind of my thought process in this. I'll say this, and you heard it from day one with me, and when as it pertains to Sean Miller, I was fairly uncomfortable with that. Now, I didn't question Coach Tanner because I know he's been doing his research on this guy for a long, long time. Okay. And Coach Tanner, the one thing I know about him is he's not going to hire somebody that's going to get him in trouble. The guy's been in trouble.
Yeah,
we know. So I put my faith in Coach Tanner in the fact that he had done his research as to what was going to happen if they hire this guy. All right. That being said, Darren, we all know that that public perception is a thing, and we all know that there are very surface type conversations that happen every day in social media across this country. And if South Carolina landed Sean Miller, I just thought largely it was going to be perceived across the nation in college basketball as this is a historically pretty bad program that is desperate, and they're going to hire a cheater. And I personally was never comfortable with that. Okay. Now, there was also the side of me of saying, damn, they're going to hire Sean Miller. They're going to go win some freaking basketball games. And all of this crap isn't going to matter because Coach Tanner's done his due diligence and they're going to be really dang good. All right. So it's kind of a double-edged sword type feeling personally with what happened with Sean Miller not coming to South Carolina. Yeah, you feel like you've lost out on taking a gigantic step that you haven't taken in, I mean, as far as from a consistency standpoint, so it's the Frank McGuire years. But then the other side of it is, well, maybe this is the best thing. So I don't know. Well, again, we're not going to know for a few years, but it's certainly worthy of having the conversation. And I respect the hell out of everybody's opinions who have one.
Yeah, I wasn't comfortable when I first heard Sean Miller's name, and I said that here and then reversed course. And I gave my reasoning for reversing course, because if I'm going to sit here and say it's a good hire for Xavier, then of course I would have to sit here and say it would have been a good hire for South Carolina, because he was going somewhere. Somebody was hiring him. And at this point, I think it's worth the risk with months of due diligence done in the past. I don't know the relationship between Ray Tanner and Xavier's AD. I don't know the name of Xavier's AD, to be quite honest with you right here. I would bet they're not going to be the best of friends moving forward, because what happened here is Xavier sat back and watched the end of their year happen, and then watched almost losing an opening round game on their home floor in the NIT to Dennis Gates and Cleveland State. And then they looked over in the corner of the country and said, you know what? All of my homework is done. Sean Miller has been cleared by Ray Tanner. Sean Miller is good for me. If I'm Ray Tanner, if I'm a Gamecock fan, that would bother me. But that is how things work in this business. I mean, Sean Miller's not the first one to do it. He's not going to be the last one to do it. No. And now, like someone said in the chat, I do still think it was best for both parties, South Carolina and Frank Martin, to separate. I think they both needed a break. I think it's a positive thing, however this ends, because the friction wasn't going away, because the story we played out the last 2 years, 3 years was the same story we were playing out next year. So I do think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But now there's going to be a lot of criticism of that and a lot of wait and see and not a good public look either for how the search has gone.
Hey, look, they've moved on from Frank Martin. So, you know, that's what's next. And we still don't have that answer. But they're trying to find it, and hopefully they'll find it here sooner than later. I'll read this one, then we'll go to break and get Gene in. Reggie sent us a note through our app on the chat line, or the in the chat, whatever, on our app. Yeah. Reggie, thank you for downloading the app. I don't know how else. He said, hire McMahon if he will come. If not, hire Mackey. He at least wants the job, and I know he'd give his all to the place he loves. Sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the love, like Beamer has shown. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of in lockstep with that comment there, if anybody wants to know or care about my opinion out there. So, all right, we need to hit a timeout. When we return, the Post and Courier's Gene Sapakoff is going to jump in. We'll get his thoughts on this and more right here on the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about: stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck, with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone, again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily, family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, rib night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and
All right, 12:35 on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Straight to the phone lines. Scott Wingo is coming up at 1:05, but right now it's Gene Sapakoff with the Post and Courier on his way to spring training. Hey, Gene.
You make me be the opening act for Wingo? That is a tough gig. I better try to be funny today or something.
Yeah.
Do your best.
If you want to fit in with Scott Wingo, you just have to answer questions like this. I mean, shoot. I mean, dude. Like, dang. Shoot.
About it.
Well, it's worked for him so far.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to give us another HBP update here in just a little while. Not enough of them this weekend. Carolina was throttled in Knoxville, outscored 23-5. But Gene, that's as bad as that is, and that'll be the next coach everybody wants canned. That's not the coaching search we're talking about right now. It's the replacement of Frank Martin, and we've watched the twists and turns over the last few days. We get your opening thoughts on what has transpired thus far.
If what's been reported is accurate, they swung big for Sean Miller. I like that. I think that would be an awfully intriguing hire. That's off the board. Mac McMahon sounded really good to me. They went for it, apparently. And, they're losing to schools that either have some sort of connection with the coach or more money or more prestige. And it's going to be interesting to see now where they go, because if they go to the likes of Bob Ritchie, Lamont Paris, BJ Mackey, that's going to look like, quite a fallback. And one of those guys just might work out. But, there's probably some other candidates I'd throw in there if you're going to go that way, in particular, Pat Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So your man, David Cloninger, had just reported a little while ago, Gene, that the Gamecock administration is in Kentucky today to meet with Mac McMahon. If he is available and willing, is he the guy in your opinion?
Well, I'm not really sure, because it looks like LSU is thinking that maybe he's their guy, right? I don't know what's going on. I do like him. I think he's done a really good job for a while now, but there is just so much fluidity to this thing. It's going to be, interesting to see how it plays out. But having said all that, guys, I'm not one of these people that faults Ray Tanner for trying. So, if you go for somebody that's at the top of the list and lose it to some more elite program, if you will, I've got no problem with that, really.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, Gene, I know that people want to see Coach Tanner land the big fish, and I understand that. I think if this was the first time that it had happened this way, that the fan base, at least those that have Twitter accounts, would probably be a little bit more lenient on Coach Tanner. But it's almost like PTSD, right? We saw this back in 2015 when they ended up settling on Will Muschamp after Coach Tanner was standing in Kirby Smart's kitchen ready to sign into a deal. And then Georgia said, wait a second, hold on. Before you do that, Mark, you're out. And then he signed with the Dogs. So people have kind of seen this before. They've heard rumors on why Kevin O'Sullivan didn't land at South Carolina. I'll tell you, there's more to that story. But they've seen it before. It's like PTSD. And that's kind of, I think, where a lot of the feelings come from with the criticism they have of Coach Tanner and how he handles it.
And I think it's the complications, guys, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about this, but it's multiplied in college basketball because, as you see with the likes of St. Peter's in the Sweet 16, there's so many jobs, there's so many schools and guys doing well all over the country, and inevitably someone has been an assistant at NC State or Auburn for a few years or something. So there's all kinds of interconnections to the Gamecocks SEC/ACC footprint. It's going to be fascinating. And I can't wait for that opening press conference just to see how that goes. But if I were Ray Tanner, I'd keep swinging hard for a few days.
So you just brought up a really good point, Gene, and I'd like you to expand on that, because if we found out today that South Carolina needed to hire a football coach and their leading candidates were the head guy at Furman and the head guy at Murray State, I can't imagine this fan base would be too thrilled.
And an assistant at Wake, you can throw.
Yeah, and an assistant at Wake Forest who's, never done anything outside of, ETSU and at Charleston Southern. Respectfully, of course, we'll get to BJ more in a minute. But college basketball is like a bag of marbles that you just have no idea which one you're going to pull out, Gene. And we've seen guys from schools we've never heard of go on to be tremendous. And then we've seen big names fall. I mean, did you really think when Frank came to South Carolina, it was going to end like this? I know I didn't. So, I mean, it's just such a crapshoot, and we don't really know how this thing's going to play out until you get 2, 3, 4 years down the road and see.
Moreover, the college basketball success story landscape is full of guys that, were assistant coaches. John Kress, Dean Smith, Leonard Hamilton. Believe it or not, Coach K was once an assistant coach. And you look at a guy like BJ Mackey, this is getting a little off the rail here, but when Anthony Johnson really, really wanted the job at CFC, and I was kind of down with that. He's an alum who had played, more than 10 years in the NBA, but he hadn't really shown that he was a coaching professional dedicating himself to the position before he interviewed there and, actually got the job and then lost it for various reasons. But BJ Mackey has put in some serious time at Charleston Southern and Chattanooga and Wake. And, oh, by the way, he's your leading career scorer. If I said this last week with you guys, if he came in there with a PowerPoint presentation and a big folder and say, you're not going to spend all that much on me. Can you spend this much on big time assistance? Can you spend this much on facility upgrades or whatever, recruiting budget and stuff? What do you think of that, Ray Tanner? And looked him in the eye. I'd be damn impressed.
Gene Sapakoff with the Post and Courier. That is really interesting. So, Gene, we've heard for years, I know you've heard it, that the big problem, or one of the big problems from fans at South Carolina is, well, they don't recruit this state well enough. Well, I mean, Gene, let me ask you a question. If BJ Mackey can't recruit the state of South Carolina, who can?
Yeah, and I mean, I always joke about Augusta, particularly that golf course they have there on Washington Road, and Charlotte are kind of suburbs of South Carolina. So put those two in the state, and there are so many good players. In fact, I was just in Greenville, South Carolina, observing Augusta's Zepp Jasper and Hammond School high school graduate Chavez Goodwin from Columbia starting on teams in the NCAA tournament. Goodwin with Southern Cal and Jasper with Auburn. Now, they're both eliminated by the Miami Hurricanes, but still, there is a lot of talent in the state, and not just the, Ja Morants and Zion Williamsons. There's that secondary kind of talent that would have been cool to see in Garnet or Orange or something like that.
Well, hey, and in addition to that, Murray State, Trey Hannibal is their starting guard. He's in the dance. Justin Minaya, formerly at South Carolina with Trey Hannibal, is at Providence. They're in the Sweet 16. I mean, it's littered with guys that you're like, why are they not at Carolina? All right, so with Coach Tanner, because I agree with you, Gene. I'd rather have a guy that swings for the fences than doesn't, and Coach Tanner has done that. But is there that we know of? We don't know the full story, and that's the thing. The hot takes on message boards and stuff, it's kind of hard to have one until we get the full story as to how things kind of unfolded. And I understand. I'm not telling anybody not to do that. I respect everybody's opinion, Gene. But is there anything that you're aware of to this point that could be second guessed in how they have handled this? Like, if you didn't get Sean Miller, what was next? Is that fair game?
Anything is fair game, and especially for invested fans that have been Gamecock fans for a long time, or who pay money, or who go to the games. I mean, anything's fair. The most beautiful thing about University of South Carolina athletics is the passion, man, as Jack Black said in School of Rock. And so you have to bow to that. So, yeah, they can ask any question they want. Have they done it right? I don't know. Sean Miller was a quirky exploration. I don't know if Ray Tanner will ever even acknowledge that they did that, so we'll see how it shakes out. And, the guy's first, second, third year, we'll look back on this, and that will be the tale of the tape,
Is this search representative of what type of job this is?
Evidently, but I know what you're going there, that, you can't win there. It's just not that good of a job. I see it as an SEC school with a beautiful arena, a passionate fan base. They've been to the Final Four. They've been to the NCAA tournament with most of the coaches they've had once or twice. And I just think it's a better job than most cynical people in the Palmetto State seem to think.
Well, hey, look, Georgia's not a good job, but they just hired Mike White. So, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think it's well said. Do you, and I'm just curious, Gene, do you think that, Frank Martin was here for 10 years. Yes, he went to the Final Four. But he was here for a decade, not sustaining success. Bill Foster left Duke and couldn't sustain success. Eddie Fogler left Vanderbilt, couldn't sustain success. Same thing with Dave Odom. I mean, there is a history of guys who have been really successful. They come to South Carolina and they can't figure it out. With these coaches that are being considered, do you think they look at this and go, I'm going to get a big raise. I'm going to go to South Carolina, but my career might also end there because everybody else could floundered after they left the Gamecocks program as well?
Maybe. Just thinking slightly outside the box here, though, for Ray Tanner, for those coaches that think that, I try to show him some sort of chart that shows how many people are moving into South Carolina, how many potential decent high school basketball players there could be in the next 5 years versus, 15 years ago or something. And just some sort of presentation of how good the high school basketball coaching is in the state. And like I said, in places like Augusta, Charlotte, and elsewhere nearby.
Well, it's interesting. Final question on this, Gene, then we'll move on. But when would you expect this decision to be made, this timeline to be over?
I would think before the weekend.
Gene, if they make it to Saturday and they don't have a basketball coach, this place might explode. I mean, I just can't imagine that would be a good thing. You think you think they'd still be in good shape if they haven't hired anybody by Saturday?
It depends on who shows up at that press conference, but yeah, that's not exactly ideal. Let's put it that way.
Well, a contrarian view to that would say you took your biggest swing. McMahon, you're taking a swing. And if you don't land the 2, 3, however many numbers you want to put out, big swings out there, then taking your time isn't the worst thing either, just to make sure you get it right. Like, I understand the urgency, but there's more pause for me here. If you take your 2, 3, whatever big swings, then at that point, what's the rush? Try and make sure you get it right. I mean, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. And the other thing is, we're all thinking of these college coaches. There's some excellent reporters who cover the Gamecocks who have unearthed some of the same names. But I don't know. Maybe there's some NBA assistant out there or some really off the chart hire. The way there were a lot of eyebrows raised when Arkansas brought in Musselman, and people are like, what? Well, that's worked out pretty well.
Yep. You're right. We'll see. I can't imagine South Carolina's and Kentucky meeting with Matt McMahon today without the intent of probably issuing a very strong offer to him. I just can't see it.
Yeah, especially this late into the process.
Yeah. All right, Gene, describe your experience in Greenville. I remember being up there in 2017 for that regional. Speaking of Carolina basketball, it worked out pretty well for them. They made a run out of that regional into the Big Apple and then way out into the desert for the Final Four. What was it like this go around?
It was nothing like 17 because besides the Gamecocks being there and Duke, remember the Tar Heels were there too on their way to a national championship. Arkansas was there. But this was really cool. I mean, just the coaches, Coach K, Izzo, Larinaga, Bruce Pearl, Andy Enfield's really colorful at Southern Cal, I think you remember, from Florida, Gulf Coast, etc. So that was fun. And then, the two guys with College of Charleston / Wofford ties, Zep Jasper and Chavez Goodwin, really a fun atmosphere inside the well. And I don't think we're getting one back in our state until 2026, but get your tickets early.
Yeah, that's right. Buy them up now. They're going to be they'll be out of here. Gene, what about this St. Peter's run? I mean, they're a Cinderella. They're in the Sweet 16. They've got these 2 upsets under their belt. This is something. I never even knew who St. Peter's was until Thursday.
The Peacocks, always been one of my favorite nicknames. Here's the thing. That team is so physically tough. They play like they're playing on the asphalt out in Jersey City, not in some gymnasium. And they didn't back down from Kentucky. And once you win that game, I don't think they're scared of anybody else they're going to meet in the tournament. It's just the latest of some really cool stories. And there have been some great stories on the men's and women's side of, lower seeds making it. And it's just a really cool thing.
Part of the cool story for them, their band or their cheerleaders didn't make it out to the first game, and NBC, the Peacock, and I think somebody else as well chipped in, made sure that the cheerleaders got a bus. They were at that second round game, and I think all students are also getting some months free of the Peacock app.
Really?
That's what you want to see. Peacock gear is probably selling, so well all over the nation, and that's what you want to see in March Madness.
How do you compare this Cinderella story to some of the recent ones we've seen? Maybe the 2018 Loyola run, or what was it, Dunk City, USA, back in 2012, 2013 with Florida Gulf Coast. I think VCU was probably the Cinderella in 2011, if I have that year correct. How would you compare this to those runs?
I really like it. I mean, maybe it's because not that many people have heard of the school, but you look at Florida Gulf Coast and George Mason with Larinaga. And of course, I think around these parts in South Carolina, we had a lot invested in that run that Davidson made with Steph Curry, because played every year at the Citadel and at CFC back then. And so that might have been my favorite.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if either one of you know the answer to this, but Gulf Coast, they were a 15 seed. Is this the only other 15 seed that has made the Sweet 16?
I think there's been 3, and I forget who the other one is. This is either the 3rd or 4th. I forget who the others are, but it's a wonderful thing when you can see that happen.
I do know it's the 4th time ever that 4 double-digit seeds are in the Sweet 16, and the 2nd time in 2 years of the 4 times ever.
Wow.
That makes it really exciting, unless you're, trying to win your bracket. But I guess it's all relative, really.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. How about the SEC's performance and the ACC's performance thus far?
Got to be pretty disappointed with the SEC when you lose 2 number 2 seeds and a number 3. I really thought the Vols would do well. I knew that Auburn, from watching them play and watching Miami play on Friday, was going to have trouble in the backcourt with those senior, really good established guards like McGusty that Miami has. But the Kentucky game, obviously the shocker. Poor Rick Barnes just can't seem to get, the Vols into the Sweet 16. So yeah, not good. And then, hey, for the ACC, I mean, I don't think you really expected North Carolina or Miami to be in there. So you got to say it's been a success. And so far, the Coach K story lives on.
Yeah, Coach K story's living on. That's got a chance to be a hell of a game on Thursday night between Texas Tech and Duke. I think right now the early favorite of the Red Raiders at 1 point. All right, real quick, I want to ask you about spring training, but before that, the Dawn and the Lady G's are back in the Sweet 16, Gene, and their defense is the best we've ever seen through 2 games in the NCAA tournament. I mean, literally ever, by like 20-something points. I don't even know how to describe that. I also wouldn't know how to describe their offense. If they want to win a national championship, Gene, they need to get a little bit better on that side. They've been, for 11 McDonald's All-Americans, I hate to say it this way, they've been awful. I mean, like putrid offensively. So after watching them through 2 games in Columbia this weekend, move into the Sweet 16, are their chances better or worse of winning a national championship?
I think they're way better, because I think what a coach kind of likes when they know they have a really good team is that you won pretty impressively, and yet because there were a lot of holes in the way those games went, you have a license to kick butt in practice and yell and scream a lot. And I think that gets them to Minneapolis. Now, once they get there, I think it's kind of a reevaluation, but basically, yeah, I like their chances better.
Man, Gene, from the top rope, I had no idea you were coming from that angle. Great. That's why you're the best. All right. Oh, so where are you going? What are you doing down in Florida? You just cruising around the state, gonna have a few beers, catch some rays. What are you doing down there? Where are you going?
Yeah, well, right now I'm cruising down I-95. I'm right near the Okefenokee Swamp, and if you want me to call later, I can give you a report on the game between the Gators and the Snapping Turtles. But I'm going down to Jupiter to see the Cardinals because, as you know, former College of Charleston infielder Oliver Marmol, at 35 years old, is the Cardinals skipper. And then, depending on how that goes, I hope to go over and see the Braves and, maybe stop by the Nationals place and give the condolences on behalf of Darren Goldwater.
I appreciate it. Although one of the really cool things this weekend that got completely overlooked was Darren Baker, the kid who was swooped up. I think it was JT Snow in the World Series. He's now a national farmhand, and he exchanged a lineup card with Dusty for the Nationals and Astros game. It was
wow.
Dusty didn't know it was happening.
That is so cool.
It was cool. Yeah,
absolutely one of my favorite World Series moments ever.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's the So you're going to have a column out this week on Ollie and taking over the Cardinals is what I'm hearing, right?
That's the plan.
Okay. Who else have you talked to?
See if I can execute it.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. Who just out of curiosity, the legends of the Cougars program, I'm sure you've talked to many of them. Who have you discussed his job or his position with the Cardinals with thus far? I mean, all those guys used to play with him, all the coaches. Who have you talked to? I'm just interested to know who's going to be in the article.
Yeah. I either have or will talk to quite a few people like Boxhall, Pulowski, Monty Lee. It's interesting, Ronnie Marmol, his older brother, came to the College of Charleston first, and that's what got Ollie there. So between the two Marmol brothers, I mean, they played with all the best, all the people you can name at College of Charleston, or most of them, let's say that.
Yeah, I remember I was the bat boy when Ronnie was there, and he was special. Behind the plate, he was good. And then Ollie he was fantastic. That is so awesome. I can't wait to read it. I cannot wait. What else is coming out this week? You don't have enough going on, so what else are you doing?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just some baseball, but I'm crossing my fingers and hoping to accompany David Cloninger to the state of Minnesota next week, but we'll see.
Oh, all right. So wait a second here, Gene. You're going to leave the Sunshine State, fly to the Final Four, hopefully, and then are you even coming home, or are you just going straight to Augusta?
Yeah, I'm coming home. I can't, I've got to get some new undergarments and stuff like that.
You better diet now, because this pimento cheese sandwiches and all that stuff you're gonna eat down at the Masters. You know how it goes over there.
Right.
Hey, have a great trip. I'm jealous. I wish I could go down there and watch spring training. That's going to be a blast. Looking forward to the column. And as always, thank you for your excellent work.
Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Later.
Gene Sapakoff with the Post-Ing Courier. Where else would you rather be in America right now than just sitting somewhere on I-95?
I wouldn't rather be on the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, at least as of like 2 hours ago, when 2 of the southbound lanes were shut down.
Oh, God. Darren. This town and its traffic is atrocious.
Not great.
All right, it's 1 o'clock. We're an hour in the books. It's a new work week. Who knows what's coming in the next few days? I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. We do know what's coming in the next segment, though. Scott Wingo with the Gamecocks joins us next on the JB and Goldwater Show. Right here in our backyard is Motley Rice LLC, a law firm that hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for South Carolinians who were injured while traveling by plane or bus, harmed by medical drugs and devices, or burdened by dangerous auto recalls, including Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. We are honored to have Motley Rice as a sponsor for the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work, and 2 others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf team. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
live, loud, and online.
Final hour on this gorgeous Monday afternoon. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater show presented by Motley Rice. Thanks to Gene Sapakoff for joining us in that last segment. We do have some Major League Baseball to get to in just a little while. We'll dip back into March Madness. Deshaun Watson, you thought was coming back to this neck of the woods, but he's not. He's going to Cleveland. So we're going to get into that in a little while as well. But first, our man with the Gamecocks, Scott Wingo, joining us here to recap a tough weekend up in Knoxville, hoping to get it rebounded tomorrow right here in the Low Country at the Citadel, as a matter of fact. What's up, Scotty?
What's going on, Jamie? Thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, it was a tough little weekend this weekend, but you got to give credit to Tennessee. That's a good ball club, and kind of showed us that we got some work to do to get better. But there's no doubt they're a good team. But yeah, like you just said, we got a good opportunity to move forward and go play the Citadel, Blake Cooper and company.
Yep.
And hopefully get things on the right track again.
I can't help. I'm going to try to get out there tomorrow night, Scott. I'm going out of town later on this weekend, so I'm kind of trying to get things sewed up before then. But I'm going to do my best to get down there and watch it tomorrow. But I'll just say this, and I mean this with all due respect. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago, fast forward 10 years, and Scott Wingo and Blake Cooper would be coaching against each other on a Tuesday night in Charleston, South Carolina, I would have told you that you've been smoking meth. This is incredible.
Man, I know it, man. That's pretty cool. Coop,
do what?
Calling pitches. Coop's going to be calling pitches. I'm hopefully going to be sending some guys home.
That's right. We'll see whose arm is more worn out at the end of the game tomorrow night. Either Blake's from having to make so many pitching changes, or yours from waving guys around third, right?
That's right.
That's right. All right, man. It was a tough weekend. Tennessee is really good, and the latest D1 baseball rankings have them up in the top 5, now 5th in the country. As a matter of fact, boys and girls, the top 5 is 4 of those top 5 spots are taken up by SEC programs. Ole Miss at 1, Arkansas at 3, Vandy at 4, Tennessee at 5. Who's at 2? Texas. Gamecocks beat them last weekend. Y'all play all of those teams this year, Scotty, except for Arkansas, unless you get them in the postseason. But Tennessee, in short time, has come a long way under Tony Vitello. What describe them? I mean, they can swing it. They got big arms. I mean, describe that program, especially compared to what they used to be.
Yeah, they're athletic group of guys, man. Great arms, position players, very athletic, strong. Miss balls and hitting balls out. I mean, it's a good team. It's a real good team. We just impressed by that whole group, really. But hopefully we'll get another shot at them down the road, either in the SEC tournament or hopefully regional or super regional. But yeah, man, every position player I really was impressed with. Every arm out of the pen and every starter was good. And I thought we had a couple quality starts from our guys this weekend as well. And a couple of those games got away from us, but offensively we kind of didn't help ourselves very much. But being at home against Vanderbilt, another top 5 team, I know our crowd hopefully will be fired up. I know we'll be fired up. So it's kind of like a Texas weekend. I know we had going into that weekend, they beat us the first game, but I mean, if we can go ahead and take 2 or 3 from Vandy, that'll kind of right the ship a little bit, because it's tough getting swept first weekend for sure, but you go and take 2 or 3 from Vandy, feeling good again.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's early in the league schedule. We all know that, and I can think of numerous times in this program's history, Scott, where you didn't get off to the best start in SEC play, but it all worked out. Shoot, last year they started out 1-2. I think I remember correctly, Vanderbilt was the first series of the season in Nashville, and then the second weekend they came home against 5th-ranked Florida and swept them. So, things can change quick. And you mentioned the offensive struggles this weekend, and I do want to talk about that because I think we've hit on this a little bit the last couple of weeks, Scotty. And I don't want this to come out wrong, but we if you've been around this sport a long enough time, you knew what was coming. Freshmen are going to have their kind of welcome to big time baseball moments. And as great as guys like Michael Braswell have been this year, and he is an excellent player, he had a long, tough weekend. 0 for 10 at the plate with 6 strikeouts. That is not representative of who he is or what he's going to be as a player. That's just, hey, welcome to the SEC, kid. We're good. We've done our scouting, and you're going to pay for it. So walk me through that. You've been there before. It's tough as a freshman when you see these guys. Walk me through what your young guys are going through, getting into league play, and how you going to coach them through it.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Not just freshmen. Sophomore year, junior year. There's some. Hey man, there's some dudes that you face that you hadn't seen. The movement, the velocity, the atmosphere. And that's a good thing. Baseball's a humbling game, and Braswell will learn from that. He's a competitor, and honestly, it's a good thing. You want that to happen early rather than late. And I know Braswell is a competitor, and he's a fighter. So he'll continue to work, and not worried about Braswell at all. Just because he'll stay hungry and be ready to go. But yeah, you're right. I remember my freshman year. I think I faced Lance Lynn.
Oh.
And in Columbia, and that stuff was real. I think I flew out to center field. Now I felt like I did a pretty good job. I felt like I hit a home run. I flew out to center field and acted like I just missed it, but I was basically happy to put the bat on the ball.
I'm sure Coach Tanner was thrilled with that. Yeah, boy, Scotty. You can hear it now.
Good looking fly out, I'll tell you that. It's a big league fly out.
That was great.
Coach, I just got underneath it. If I was a little bit more on top of it, it would have left the yard. I think that, kind of on that note, there was, if my numbers are correct here, Scott, there were 7 freshmen who got ABs this weekend in y'all's lineup. 7. That is a lot, man. That's a lot. Because I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here or beat the same drum over and over or anything like that. I'm just not sure that people understand how much goes into trying to get that many young guys, moving in the right direction. This is still all like a blur to them, right? They're seeing lightning out there, and there's a lot of them. So you're having to figure it out, but you're in the toughest league in America, and if you don't figure it out, you get embarrassed pretty quickly.
Yeah. You're right. I know Thad Hector got in there last night against 103 and stepped on that ball to center field, or yesterday. But you're right. It's kind of got to grow up fast. Braswell's got that opportunity to play every day. Horning as well. He plays, majority of the time. But there's some freshmen that are getting some opportunities. Lambros has gotten some opportunities. Has done a nice job in center field. He works on his swing all the time, and he's a guy who has a lot of tools, and enjoy working with him. He works hard every day. He does things the right way on and off the field, and that's the guy you want to see have success, just how he works. Evan Stone works his tail off. Great defender. We just got a bunch of guys that are going to get their chance and get their opportunities. And hopefully as we keep progressing down the road this year and going forward, man, they're going to be hopefully huge pieces in the team. But yeah, they're going to have to grow up quick. That's right.
What type of locker room do y'all have, Scott? When you walk in there, that group of guys, what do you see when you walk in there?
Man, I see some guys that are hungry, that are baseball players, a lot of freshmen. I like the freshman group, man. They're a good group of guys. We got some older pieces that, you got Eister, you got Kevin Madden. I feel like is grown to be a big piece of this team. You got Wimmer, who's done a great job this year, just coming to work, but it's a group of guys that are coming to fight every day. They obviously know that, on the mound we've had some injuries, so I know that's definitely hard to, it's tough. But they haven't once. I hadn't seen a group of guys that just said, man, we can't. I mean, look, we got whatever, So they're fighting, and they'll continue to fight. Look, bottom line, we played, in my opinion, the number one team in the country last weekend. I mean, I played Texas. We played Texas. We played Tennessee. If gun to my head, Tennessee's a lot better.
Really?
But Tennessee's a better team, respectfully, of course.
Sure.
But we got a great chance to right the ship this weekend, and I think we're gonna be ready to play at home. We'll be fired up for sure.
Scott, let's talk. Let's talk some X's and O's stuff here. You know me, man, and I know you pretty well. We love to just talk the fundamentals of baseball from time to time, and so I want to get you to kind of describe. This is not. I'm not picking on the Gamecocks. This happens, unfortunately. You hate to see it, but the rundown that we saw yesterday. That's not how you do it, as we all know.
Right.
That was butchered pretty bad. But
yep.
I want to get your second baseman, and even if you weren't, you understand what everybody's role is in a rundown situation when you got a trail runner and the lead runner's at second and he takes off. The first thing I saw was Gilreath did not make him commit one way or another. He just let go of the baseball. So what did you see, and walk us through that scenario and how it kind of unfolded and what they should have done?
Right. In my opinion, it usually starts with the very first guy. And if Gilreath, I thought he made the right read as far as trying to get the guy at second base. I mean, he was dead. So could he have gotten a rundown? I think he did his job overall, good job of getting the ball to second base. But when we kind of didn't run the guy, just kind of let him just float in the middle. And on that, you've got to run him. And then, if we see he's gotten, too close to third, the guy at third obviously got to be kind of pushing in there.
Yep.
Basically cutting the distance down. And then especially, when we got to third, I want to say Madden, we really got to run them back. I mean, their guy from first went to second. And at that point, we could have just ran them all the way back. But yeah, you got to make that guy show you his back. You can't just walk through it and throw the ball, because then at that point it's just gonna be we're just playing around, So you got to run the guy and have him show you his back, and the guy cut the distance down, and eventually, I mean, it should take tops hopefully 2 throws.
That's right.
And you're out of it. So yeah, that wasn't good. That kind of was a summary of the weekend. Just not too good, but something we definitely got to work on.
Yeah, look, if you're winning the game, nobody's talking about that. They're laughing about it. But when you lose, it's something that people will kind of look to. I just wanted to bring it up just for the way you described it. Baseball, Scotty, as you well know, has a bunch of people that watch it, that love it, that don't really understand it. So anytime we can get an opportunity to maybe educate on some of the fundamentals, that's what we'll do. That was a pretty poor job by the Gamecocks, but there is a right way to do it. And let's just hope that doesn't happen again. To put.
Yeah, you're right though. You got to run those guys. I mean, you got to run them. Because if you just let them keep dancing around, we're not getting anywhere, And then that's when especially some of those speed guys, man, they can mess with you. So
absolutely,
got to run them. That guy's got to, when he's ready for the ball, whatever the system may be, as far as, if you're talking about coaches wanting to learn about it. I mean, the guys put their hands up when they're ready for it, or just ball. But you got to get those guys. You got to run them back and cut that distance down.
Describe it from the other side, Scotty. If you're over there at third, that's what you do now as a third base coach. But when you're working on this in practice, I mean, you work on rundowns from both angles. If you get in one, and then what you do to defend one. So if you're in a rundown, what do you coach? Especially if you have a trail runner like the guy who put the ball in play. What are you telling that cat to do, and what are you telling the guy to do who's caught in the rundown?
If you're the trail runner, one, you got to have feel is if they're going to be able to tag him out before you can get to second base. But if you got to feel, hey, he's going to try to stay in it as long as possible. Hey, if you're the first runner, just stay in the rundown. I mean, a lot of times I would fake the sprint so that the infielder saw my back, and then immediately, right when I showed him my back, plant, and hopefully he didn't throw the ball yet and come back the other way on a sprint, just because you're trying to kind of fake them out a little bit. And obviously just staying in it as long as possible. But that was my thing. I would fake the sprint and show him my back, and then just try to hit the brakes and come right back the other way, and hopefully say a prayer that I didn't throw the ball, because if not, you're just staring him right in the face with the ball.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Just stay in it as long as you can. The more throws the defense needs to make, you got to remember it, right, Scott? There's a lot that has to happen here. You got to make a good throw. He's got to catch it. And he's got three things have to happen: throw, catch, tag. So the more times you make them go back and forth, the more of an opportunity there is to make a mistake somewhere. And yeah, y'all made mistakes in that one on Sunday, but that's okay.
Right. The more that ball's in the air and you're running around and you got the bad news bears going around looking, a mistake's gonna happen, and that's what happens.
That's right. All right. So what are you doing this week? Obviously tomorrow you're going to be in town to take on the Dogs at Riley Park. And that is a very important game. Scotty, you've played here against the Citadel in the Low Country. It is, and Blake knows this very well from playing in these games and now coaching in them. The Citadel takes this game very seriously. That's not to say that South Carolina doesn't. They do. But this has long been a game that Bulldogs players and fans really look forward to. There's been a lot of close calls. There's been some upsets. I think the last time Carolina was defeated in Charleston was 2014. So it has been a while, but there's been some close ones. So this is a big game tomorrow night. You got to win this one, and then you got to get to Vanderbilt. So what's important this week for your program as you try to get your guys back on track here?
Right. Yeah. The Citadels, they've always had a tough group of kids. I mean, when you go to the Citadel, you know what you're signing up for, and that's every day that they go to work. They got a structured, man. It's to be a Citadel cadet, that's something special. And you see why that they have a little chip on their shoulder when they play us. But at the same time, we've got to go in hungry as well. And that'll be the message tomorrow is, hey man, like, they want some, so let's go. But yeah, we're gonna go into it, hopefully get a win tomorrow. A Wednesday, go back to work, get a nice workout in, and obviously it's time to roll on Thursday. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully, have a good week this week.
Well, you're prepared. You've played the best teams in the country. And you said earlier, you think Tennessee, I mean, you saw them 3 times just like you saw Texas. You think they're the better program, huh?
I think Tennessee is very good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just from the lineup to the arms, that's a real good team.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what did 103 look like? I know you weren't in the box, but I'm sure you could hear it from the third base box. I've never seen that in college baseball. What did that look like?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to see that guy this weekend. They finally put him in the ninth there with one out. but it looked like the 100. It looked like the 103. Is what you could expect. I mean, it was straight up cheese. But that Hector got on top of that ball. Hit that line drive to center field. That was good to see. But
yeah,
man, yeah, it was that was impressive. Like that's some Aroldis Chapman stuff from the right side.
And I think he actually knows where it's going, unlike Chapman did for a
Yeah.
while. I mean, this cat. Where are they finding these dudes? I know he went to Walter State, but I mean,
yeah, he went to Walter State.
Yeah. Well, look, I've caught 95. I've caught 96. Never clipped 100. That's yeah. Just hit the mitt, man.
Yeah.
Don't throw it in the dirt, please. All right. Hey, look, good stuff, man. Get them going. Y'all got 4. What's that?
You coming to the game tomorrow?
I'm thinking about it. I'm going up to the mountains this coming weekend, and I got some things to kind of do beforehand. I don't know. You think I should?
Shoot me a text. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I was going to text Tony or Blake and tell them to leave me a ticket, but I don't know. I hadn't decided yet. I don't know.
I'll leave you a ticket. Sit on the Gamecocks side. I'll leave you a ticket.
Well,
you better sit right behind the plate.
Hey, that's the thing is I was going to tell Tony to leave me a ticket or Blake to leave me a ticket, and then I was just going to walk over and sit in the dugout with y'all.
Come on.
Yeah, I better not do that.
Hey, sit right behind the third base coach's box, and I'll talk to you about every half inning.
Oh, actually, that's a good idea. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
you can go heckle Wingo.
I'm just gonna talk trash to you the whole time. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right.
Hey, I've been wanting to go down there. You know, I mean, I hate to say this, but Darren knows what Darren used to be the voice of the Citadel. I mean, there's not a lot of people at the ball games generally down there. So if you want to sit there and get on top of somebody, you can do it, and everybody in the ballpark's going to hear you. So I've been wanting to maybe grab a few drinks and go down and just rip into Blake from time to time. You know, just see what happens. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll text you later on and let you know what I decide. But I'd like to get down there and see y'all, especially before the game. Maybe try to catch up with everybody. So we'll see.
Cool.
All right, brother. You the man. Thank you, man. Go get them.
All right, guys.
I'll
talk to you all on Monday.
You got it. We'll be here. Scout Wingo with the Gamecocks now. Their third base coach and hit by pitch coach. Whatever else.
Hit by pitch coach.
Dude loves some HPPs. We didn't get into it today. I'm not sure unless they got hit by about 30 pitches this weekend that would have mattered a whole lot. And, you know, I mean, look, they hung in there for a while, both games. But once they started bleeding, they just couldn't stop it. I mean, it was bad.
And like he just said, I mean, he got an up-close look at both Texas and Tennessee, and he thinks they're better. I texted you. I mean, I haven't been watching a ton of the teams, but we had that on one of the TVs, and I texted you. I was like, they got some dudes, man. I mean, pretty apparent that Tennessee has some dudes throughout that lineup.
Yeah, look, man, I'll say this, okay, because it's twofold here. One is that Tennessee is really, really, really good, and I think that people need to understand. I mean, what he was just saying there, I actually don't disagree with him. I think Tennessee, you know, as the year plays out, we'll have to see kind of how it unfolds. This league is, I mean, it's so good, but overall, I mean, they're the best offense in the country. They're the best offense in the country in like 7 categories. That is unheard of in college baseball. They have one of the best pitching staffs in the country. It's top 5 in like everything. Defensively, they're really good. They're older, but the young guys that they have are dudes. It's not like what we're seeing at South Carolina. I mean, Braswell had a tough weekend, but a lot of those other guys, I think I agree with him as a nucleus. That freshman staff they've got is good. But there's also a lot of guys in there who just aren't as ready as some of these dudes at Tennessee. And I'm not trying to say that to be a total you know what. I mean,
No,
it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So they're really, really good, Darren, and they deserve so much credit. In saying that, on behalf of Carolina fans who are frustrated, like getting swept at Tennessee stinks, but Carolina fans would swallow that a little bit easier if you were 15th ranked South Carolina having a bad weekend. Yeah, you had a bad weekend, right? And there's just a lot of people who look, it's okay for Tennessee to be really good. Yeah, this going to happen. But there's no reason for us to not be good. Now, they took 2 of 3 the weekend before against the Texas Longhorns. Okay, so let's not forget that just happened.
Yep.
And they got Vanderbilt. I mean, there's so many opportunities for them to prove their worth. It was a bad weekend up at Tennessee, but they got to get it going. I mean, they're only 10-9. That's not good if you want to do what you want to do in the postseason. Like, they got to get it going. There's no question about that. So we'll just have to see. Baseball's a long year, as we often say, and South Carolina is going to have plenty of opportunities, and they'll get some guys back soon. They're going to have to swing sticks, and Tennessee's probably going to keep beating a lot of teams, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good. When you texted me that, I mean, I didn't see it for a little while, but yeah, Tony Vitello has turned things around up there in a hurry. They were horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like do you remember when they hired Dave Serrano?
Yeah,
from Fullerton, or
was it Fullerton?
From Fullerton?
Yeah,
from
Fullerton.
Fullerton.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I remember correctly, they hired Serrano, and Fullerton promoted Rick Vanderhook. And people might not mean anything to anybody, but Rick's son, Corey, was a catcher at South Carolina for Coach Tanner in 04-05. He transferred in from JUCO. Anyways, when they hired Serrano, everybody thought, man, Tennessee, they hired Dave Serrano.
Yep.
And he went to Knoxville, and he's a really good guy, but it just wasn't the right fit in Knoxville. He was a West Coast dude, and it just didn't fit with the league, his brand of baseball. You know, it was slappish is what I like to call it. Got, small ball, kind of poking it around here and there. You got to be able to play a heavier brand of baseball in the SEC. You have to be able to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't do that. But anyways, I don't even know how we got off.
They got that fixed.
Yeah. Dude, every other time they make contact, the ball leaves the yard. I mean,
they're not very slappish, nor do they look like they're slappish.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
They honestly, when you look at them and go, that's an Omaha team.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they belong in Omaha. They got a bunch of guys on that team. They're going to be in the big leagues. I mean, they're really good. So, all right. Whatever. Elsewhere in baseball this weekend, Clemson salvaged the series. They lost on Friday. They lost on Saturday, but they won yesterday. They're still in the top 25. They're at 23. They've got Coastal Carolina tomorrow. Clemson begins the ACC slate at 1-2. They're now 15-4 overall. Remember, they did start 14-0, so yesterday snapped the skid for the Tigers. They're going to hope to kind of keep that going. The College of Charleston now 12-8 on the year. They took 2 of 3 this weekend from ECU. I haven't talked to Chad, but Darren, you talk about a team that you're going, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on over there? They're really talented. They went through a really strange stretch, and now all of a sudden they've won 4 or 5, and 3 of those 4 wins are against the Texas Longhorns, and 2 are against East Carolina.
Good wins.
I don't know. They lost a game to UMass Lowell. Like what? Baseball. The Citadel swept St. Peter's this weekend, which was not shocking. I'm sure St. Peter's was just drunk or hungover all weekend.
Watching basketball in the dugout.
Watching their basketball program. They've got the Gamecocks tomorrow night, as we've already mentioned. But how about this start? Now, they haven't gotten into SoCon play yet, but thus far, they've got it together. 13-6 for the Citadel. They've played some teams that aren't that good. They've also had some pretty good wins. That Villanova team, I went out there and watched them. That Villanova team's pretty good amongst others. And, they're gaining confidence, Darren, and this is a baseball program that just has not had any for a while. And that was really important to Tony Skoll and Blake Cooper and the staff through this season, early in the season. So they're confident right now. They're at 13-6 thus far. The Charleston Southern Bucks took 2 of 3 from Radford. They ended an 8-game losing streak. Talk about another team that you're like, I don't know how to explain them. 10-12, and then on the season, and then this one, Look, there are some things in sports that I'm just not a big fan of, Darren, and this is one of them. And I understand the meaning behind all of it, but it doesn't mean that I can't complain because, according to Twitter and anybody else, you can complain about anything you want to. This is one of the great crimes in sports: time limits in 3-game series. I understand the travel. I get it. Totally get it. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and you reel me back in if I'm off. I can't imagine that there was one player on either the Louisiana Monroe team or the Coastal Carolina team who are happy that this game ended in a 17-17 tie in the 8th inning because of travel restrictions.
Yeah. I mean,
God.
You've played that far, right? I mean, it's even worse than if they got to like the 5th and said, let's back it now. That far into it with 34 runs in a tie game. I mean, no, there isn't a coach or player who wanted to make that call. And I assure you, they didn't want to make that call either. They were hamstrung by it. But you're right. It shouldn't happen. I mean, once you can't just sit back and say, oh, well, you know what? We started this game, but yeah, we're not going to finish. Sorry, got to go.
Well, I like to know the more details because I don't want to be. Maybe you could ask Joe Cashin, and maybe you could text him and find out exactly what the details are. Because, like, if Monroe bust here, which that would be a hell of a trip. But if they did, which I mean, I'm not trying to. It's the Sun Belt, you know. I mean, no offense to those guys. I'm not saying that offensively. I'm just saying that sometimes you have to bust. I mean, I remember a time that the Gamecocks had to bust to LSU. They were like, wait, we're taking a bus to Baton Rouge? Yeah. So sometimes you have to do that. If they bust, there's no reason this should have happened. If they flew privately, in my opinion, there's no reason this should have happened. If they flew commercially, I get it. I'd just be interested to know what changes can be made to prevent that. If they could have made changes, but this is strictly a league rule, then there needs to be somebody that can say, no. We're gonna clear the rule. That's okay. It's 17-17 in the 8th inning. Keep playing.
My hunch, and all those are good questions, and we should find out exactly what happened there. My hunch is that it was a Monroe thing or a league thing that said
it was a Monroe thing. I know that.
It was not a Sunbelt thing. It was a Monroe thing.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. That's a poor. Let me not say that. That's a poor statement on my fault. It's a Monroe thing, and the fact that they had to travel. I don't know if it was a mandate by the league or a mandate by the school. I'm sorry.
Right. So but I'm right there with. I mean, if there's any possible way, then officials with the league should have been able to say, guys, like 2 innings, hopefully. Hopefully we're not going 8 more and scoring 30 more runs here in the process. And my guess, because of how the game was going as well, they probably waited till the absolute last second to pull that. They did. They waited to the 8th inning, the absolute last second to pull that plug. But still, you'd like to think there was a way around that. It stinks in any sport. Anytime something like that happens, and you see it occasionally in baseball because of the time of games and sometimes because of travel. Yeah. I mean, but anytime it happens, it's cringeworthy.
Yeah. Especially when, if the game was like 11-1 in the 8th inning, whatever. It was 17-17 in the 8th inning. And the only reason it was 17-17 is somebody just missed a field goal.
It's like, Adam, I thought they didn't play football games ending in a tie.
I know. I don't know. All right. We need a timeout. It's 1:38 on a Monday afternoon. When we return, we'll dip back into some hoops and some football and some major deals landed in Major League Baseball this weekend. How much better did the Red Sox get, by the way? We'll see. We'll be right back. Hopefully, you won't ever need legal help for a catastrophic injury or health issues from a medical drug or device. But if you or a loved one suffers injury or loss, Motley Rice LLC is a nationally recognized law firm that is right here in Mount Pleasant at 28 Ridgeside Boulevard. Thank you, Motley Rice, for sponsoring the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show. Visit MotleyRice.com for more. MotleyRice.com.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan, subject to lender approval.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck, with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone. Again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily. Family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clemens Ferry Road.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and online.
Al Michaels is back in the booth. Thursday night football on Amazon Prime, Darren.
With Kirk.
Joe Buck type money with him and, Kirk Herbstreit.
Long rumored. Finally now a reality. Al is still going to do 2 or 3, I think, Sunday night games, but Mike Tirico will take over for him. Again, this was not a surprise to anyone. Whenever Al Michaels hung it up, or now that this Amazon thing became possible, I think mostly throughout this year, I think it was obviously Mike Tirico sliding in. Joe Buck has said going to ESPN, more of a quality of life thing. So, little changing landscape. I'm curious to see how the Amazon Prime stuff is going to be viewed, how it's going to be, I guess, received. But there's going to be a whole ton of eyeballs on it. They didn't go out swinging for Herbstreit and Michaels because no one's going to watch. I mean, there'll be eyeballs all over it.
That is a very, very, very good point. So we now have,
I believe it's exclusive this year too. I think that's part of this. I think Thursday Night Football, the only way to watch it is Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check that.
So you're talking about, and you fill in the gaps here because I don't know where they all are, but I just know of this streaming exclusively major from a major athletic standpoint or major sports standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, Friday Night Baseball on Apple Plus with Major League Baseball.
Yep.
And just exclusive now. Is that it? Is there anything else?
I believe that is it. At the moment. At the moment, that is it. As far as I know, at the moment, that is it. But yes, I am correct. That it is beginning next year. Amazon has exclusive rights because they have been doing some on Thursday nights, and they've been doing Michelle Tafoya and somebody else, I believe. It was a female booth, so they have been doing some, but it hasn't been exclusive, so there haven't been a ton of eyeballs on it. But the only way to watch Thursday Night Football moving forward is on Amazon.
So you'll have to subscribe to Amazon, which is going to make more people go, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and cut the cord. Especially if you have Amazon and Apple, right?
I mean, I did that a long time ago. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I've been a YouTube guy with a whole bunch of different apps for a long time. You're going to see more stuff go on to Peacock. I don't know exclusivity there, but NBC is definitely pushing more and more stuff towards Peacock. It's where everything's going. I'm almost surprised it's taken so long for it to get there. And by the way, in the process, ESPN's value is dropping, and other sports channels.
Oh.
They're having harder times bundling stuff with Dish, DirecTV. I'm not using those exactly, but the big carriers, it's harder. It's harder for them to prove their worth right now.
Yeah.
Not like they're not worth anything. They're still worth something, but it's harder for them right now.
146 here on the Share Healthcare chat lines. Adam says, I don't know if you guys have an agenda for the last 15 minutes. We always have an agenda, Adam. But I'd be interested to hear your takes on why South Carolina media members and fans are starting to push for Greg Marshall. I just don't get it. Do me a favor, Adam, and I don't want to call anybody out, and I'm not going to hammer any of our colleagues in the media, but send me an example of what I haven't seen that from a media member. That I haven't seen that. Fans that are calling for Greg Marshall, guys, I mean, I don't even, Darren, you'll be harder on it than I will be. I'll just say this. What are you thinking? What? Number one, you got a better chance of having Jesus come back and coach this team than Greg Marshall. Okay. Ray Tanner. Greg Marshall choked players. Ray Tanner would choke him. All right. That would be my best guess there. He ain't coming to South Carolina. So I'm not sure who has said that, but that's not happening, and I would ignore those people from a media standpoint there. And I hadn't seen that. So
I believe there's one who pushed for it at least a little bit. I didn't see it. He's probably going to reference it right here. Yeah. Korn said something. I'm not exactly sure what he said, but no. Look, okay, let's use the Sean Miller example, right? Because some of what I have heard from fans, well, if you were willing to go for Sean Miller, who cheated and might not be the greatest guy in the world, then how about Greg Marshall? So don't make that parallel, because that's not a fair parallel to make. Because I'll leave it at this. Number one, there are a couple of people who wanted Sean Miller. Nobody is going after Greg Marshall. You know why nobody's going after Greg Marshall? He is untouchable. He was untouchable when he was fired out there with the Shockers. He's still untouchable now. What he did, it came to light, I don't know, years and years and years and years after he had been doing it for that time frame. It wasn't just, here's an isolated incident. This was months and months of reporting and years of data and proof. This guy's I said it when he left Wichita State, or was whatever their terminology was. He's not going to be a head coach again. He can't be a head coach again. So no. And for the side of the fans that didn't like the demeanor and the attitude of Frank Martin, which we both just completely dismiss, but if you didn't like that, now you're bringing in a bad guy who is also going to give you that same sideline demeanor, whereas at least Frank is universally loved by everybody. So no.
Frank, yeah, I think a lot of people too are seeing nationally, Frank and his TV coverage, man, he has been special. I almost wish, I know there's some things out there linking him to the UMass job, and according to we'll let JC talk about it on Wednesday, but JC is one who thinks that would be a great
home run. I hadn't seen that until I don't know, some point in time today. I don't know if it came out yesterday. But my first reaction was home run. I mean, just, yeah, absolutely. That's a home run. Great league, undervalued team, passionate fan base. Absolutely, he can go there and win. Yeah, big name, attracted to a lower profile but major-ish A10 conference school. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I think he'd do great there.
I just pulled that tweet there and I missed it. It was on Saturday. Yeah, okay. So I see Phil said basically if we're willing to look past Sean Miller's FBI and NCAA issues, why not do the same and give Greg Marshall a chance? You're talking about treatment of players versus cheating. I'd see that as apples and oranges. I'm not sure that I could sell a guy. Okay, let me just sum this up. I don't even need to go into the locker room at Wichita State. I remember a few years ago when he brought Wichita State to town and Greg Marshall tried to bully Scott Eisberg for asking the hometown basically kid, or the home state kid, about being back home. And he gets an Eisberg's lunch about it and chews him out when every other coach that day on the Yorktown was they were getting ready for the basketball tournament downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every other coach there was beyond kind to local media. That's what you do when you go to these tournaments. These local media guys, they're doing their jobs, man. And you and I have been around Scott Eisberg a long time. He's a pro's pro, and he treats everybody with respect. And, if you don't like the way Eisberg does something, that's fine. But there's no reason to be – Scott Eisberg is one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, he will do anything for you. And when he treated Eisberg like that, I remember thinking, if I could just ram that guy's head in the wall, what a piece of trash. So I don't want him anywhere near the Gamecock basketball program.
No. And to a lot of people, that was their reaction. Like, did you hear what he did to Eisberg? Then there's another segment of people that heard that and said, oh, he did it again. Not to Eisberg in particular, but like, yeah, that's on par. That's who he is. And you set it up well. This is one of those media availability things at the Yorktown, right? I mean, it's all about, hey, we're here at this Christmas time-ish tournament and let's all enjoy ourselves. And no, that's who Greg Marshall is. Anyone who's been around him for any amount of time, and I haven't been around him a ton, any amount of time, you know exactly who Greg Marshall is.
No.
You don't want Greg Marshall on your sideline.
No. No. He's a bad dude. That's it. There's nothing else to even talk about with Greg Marshall. So I disagree with Phil on that. I respect Phil in the job that he does. I understand the question. I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And I see that there's been some other people who've quote unquote tweeted about it. That's
Jeff Goodman, 20 or 30 minutes ago, not retweeted. He put out his own tweet, leading candidates currently for South Carolina from his sources. And they're exactly who you would expect. Matt McMahon, Paris, Mackey. I don't know if he put an exact order on them, but McMahon was listed first. And we know that because, as Cloninger reported, and we were talking about, Carolina officials are in Kentucky. So according to Goodman, and probably others by this point, the three candidates are the ones that we've assumed at this point: Harris, Mackey, and McMahon.
Yeah, and you're getting to a point here now. I think South Carolina. I think Coach Tanner and his staff, they're in a good spot now. Now you're in a good spot, Darren. There is a look. I just got a text a little bit ago that says that there's a real chance here with Matt McMahon. And if the Gamecocks can land him, I don't know anybody out there that can say that they missed. I just don't see it. And now, if you're a fan right now, your heartstrings are being pulled on one side, and then your headstrings are being pulled on the other, because your heartstrings are probably attached to BJ Mackey. And knowing that, well, this wasn't possible maybe only a week ago, and now all of a sudden this might be possible. Like, wait, could we win big with BJ Mackey? But then there's Matt McMahon, where you've looked at this guy and what he has done, Darren. I mean, he went 31-3 this year at Murray State. He took over a program that was, winning 16, 17 games a year, maybe. And the last few years, 26, 28, 23, 13, and 31. And you go 13. Whoa. That was the COVID year. Remember that year that nobody wanted to give Frank Martin credit for? The year that Duke didn't make the tournament, the year that Kentucky didn't make the tournament. Well, Murray State only won 13 games last year, too. COVID did have a problem. It caused problems for people. And then they come out here and win 31. So this cat here, this could be a real big thing if South Carolina can reel it in.
He was the top of my list before I flipped on Sean Miller. So yeah, he is the prime mid-major coach right now. He is the hot name. Dennis Gates is right there with him, but McMahon is more so of the hot name. Gates doesn't have the ties to this region that McMahon does. Strong ties to this region. If they go Len McMahon, I think it's a hell of a hire. I think it's a great hire. I think you can make a case that it was the best hire available on the board, even though they swung and missed at Sean Miller. I think it's a great hire if they can pull it off.
Darren, by the way, is referencing his time at App State and for 8 or 9 seasons, and then again following that for a couple of seasons at UNC Wilmington, as far as ties to the region go, for those that maybe don't know. And here's another little tidbit for you on Matt McMahon. If you didn't already know, he knows Shane Beamer fairly well and Marcus Satterfield, because he was a graduate assistant at Tennessee when they were at Tennessee. And reports are that Shane Beamer has spoken to Ray Tanner about Matt McMahon. So we'll see how much that is in his corner.
It's a good guy to have in your corner right now.
I would make a guesstimate here that Gene is wrong, and I say that I say that to be funny. I think that this search will be done soon. 48 hours.
Gamecocks were close once, so don't be holding your breath, anybody, quite yet.
Yeah.
Quite yet.
No doubt.
Anything you're hearing right now could largely be influenced by agents as well.
Yeah, so it can blow up in a matter of seconds.
I'll stick with what I said at the very beginning. This can go 3 ways with McMahon. McMahon can stay home and stay at Murray State. He can go take probably a better job at LSU that comes with a whole lot of question marks, or he can go to South Carolina. I could see it going any of 3 ways.
What if he comes to South Carolina and he brings Trey Hannibal back?
What if he comes and
Trey Hannibal transferred him?
I was thinking, what if he comes and takes Mackey off Wake staff and brings Mackey in with him?
Oh, I think it'd be brilliant. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. I don't know, though. The information I have is that BJ Mackey is not going to leave to be an assistant coach anywhere else. He either wants to leave to be a head coach, or he's going to stay on Steve Forbes' staff, which I think that's smart. Steve Forbes is excellent, and BJ Mackey has chosen to hitch his wagon to Steve Forbes. Good for you, man.
Makes sense.
Yep. I think Carolina's starting to get it going here. All right, real quick here. Trevor Story has signed a $140 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Man, the AL East, dude, I don't know. It has the similar feel to the NL East last year. Going in, there's a lot of talent. Who knows what's going to happen? Poor Baltimore. They're not any good, but the Blue Jays are, the Yankees are, the Rays are, and the Red Sox are once again. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Jorge Soler is headed to Miami. Wasn't he already in Miami and then he went to Atlanta? He's going back. Is that no?
That rings a bell. That could be right. That could very well be right.
He won't be a Brave. And Carlos Correa has signed a $105 million deal with the Minnesota Twins. So
Braves are looking scary. The NL East is scary. Fortunate for everyone in the NL East, the Nationals are also in the NL East.
Yeah,
the NL East looks scary.
No, I think the Nationals are going to be pretty good as well. Going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for baseball. It is National French Bread Day.
Oh,
so for those that like French bread, it's National Fragrance Day. So if you know somebody that smells good, give them a call. It's it's World Down Syndrome Day. I once spent some time with the special needs department in the town of Mount Pleasant, and man, there's some cool cats, man. They're awesome. They're awesome. And shout out to the single parents in the world. It's National Single Parents Day. My mom was a single parent for a long time. I have no idea how she did it. So shout out to you, Mom. Thank you. Thanks for getting us here.
Somehow, some
as
way.
I'm figuring out as a parent, it could go off the rails really quickly. Kind of like coaching searches do sometimes. All right, thanks to Scott Wingo and Gene Sapakoff and Darren Goldwater and all of you. We're back at noon tomorrow. Who knows what happens between now and then? We'll find out. We'll pass it along when we get there. Have a marvelous Monday afternoon at the Dog and Duck. We'll see you tomorrow at noon on JB and Goldwater.